Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you've clicked on this video, you're probably wondering, are you just going to absolutely crap on Scarefest for the next 10 minutes? No, that's not what I'm going to do. This is meant to be a very quick and informative video to help you decide whether it's worth actually visiting Alton Towers Scarefest this year. The only thing scary about Scarefest this year is the insane ticket prices that they charge you for all of the attractions and just for entry into the park. But I do like Scarefest though, and after my last visit on the opening weekend, it's left me with a few questions which we're going to take a deep dive into today. So let's take a look today and see what's actually wrong with Scarefest and talk about some of the positives for Scarefest. So one of the first things I actually wanted to cover, which I'm actually quite glad that they've done this year, is their opening times. So they actually opened on the 27th of September and the 28th of September, which is a Saturday and Sunday for those who don't know. And I think that this is one of the first times in the last couple of years that they've actually opened up before October. Now, they're not open during the week for the next 2 weeks, right? And they do have their opening hours of 10 till 4, and there is no Scarefest on whatsoever. But I think it's great that they actually opened up in September, and I personally loved it. And something that I love about the park is the decorations all around this year are amazing. And by decorations around the park, I mean little bits like this. There are decorations literally everywhere. What I'll do is, instead of you guys seeing my face right now, I'll just edit in some of the clips that I took at Towers Street and all around the park, scattered around the park. They have so many decorations, and it does look really good this year, and it is one of the better years for decorations around the park. Another good thing about this year's Scarefest is the roaming actors. So we have actually seen Alton Bear dressed up for Halloween and the Alton ancestors return for this year. However, it feels a little bit lackluster, which is kind of a negative to my positive, but there could be improvement there. Another positive for this year is that we've seen the return of 2 free scare zones, as in Burial Grounds and brand new for the 2025 season, Dark Hollow. Dark Hollow is actually a really good addition to the park, and I actually prefer it to the Edge of the Forest. I think it's so much scarier and so much of a better idea than what Edge of the Forest actually is. Burial Grounds is just a classic, and it is amazing too. Now obviously, to make way for the new maze, Edge of the Forest, they have actually removed the attic from the lineup, which was here for well over 5 years. So another returning maze for this year is Alton Mineville, Tiny's Revenge yet again, and it is returning for its 10th year, I'm pretty sure. However, even though this is the oldest and the longest standing maze, it is still one of my favourites, and in my opinion, the better themed and the scariest attraction that they offer here. Now, a price for this is £14 for a single walkthrough, which I think is quite reasonable compared to Edge of the Forest and Compound's £16. You can get a pass holder discount on the Edge of the Forest for £12.80, and then for £11.20 you can access Compound and Altonville with the pass holder discount. Now, the pricing of that isn't too bad. However, my issue then lies with the length of the mazes and how the experience for the mazes can completely vary every single time. Now, I've had some great run-throughs of Altonville Mine Tours, and I've had some awful run-throughs of it as well, right? And it's the exact same with Edge of the Forest and Compound. Now, Edge of the Forest is also quite repetitive, and I feel like that the first half of it is quite boring and slow-paced and not very scary at all, and then the second half is a lot more scarier, and there's a unique surprise inside of it as well. To do all 3 of the scare attractions that are here, that's going to set you back £38, which is an awful lot of money considering you can do all four scare mazes at Fort Park for just £28, which is a hell of a lot cheaper, and you get an extra maze, and they're a lot scarier. Forget, if you're not already a pass holder, right, you've already paid nearly £32 or more for an entry to Scarefest, which means that this whole experience is going to cost you a minimum of £70 without food, without parking. Now that's quite expensive when there are plenty of other scare events out there that are a hell of a lot scarier, right, and half the price. While I am completely grateful that we've got a brand new scare zone and a brand new scare maze, this is the entrance for it. And now I must say, from the outside, everything looks pretty much rather unfinished and not very spooky at all. However, there is a massive improvement on last year, right, which is the opening hours. Last year, they actually reduced some of their days from 10 till 9 to 10 till 8 instead, whereas this year, any Scarefest day is always 10 till 9, which is much better in my opinion. Now, a brand new addition for this year is the Alton Towers Ghost Tour, which takes you through the towers itself for just £50 per person, or £40 if you've got the pass holder discount, which I think is quite a unique and arguably spooky experience, depending on how it actually is. So I have got myself booked in for this on the 20th of October, and I will be bringing out a full review once I have completed it. Now they have actually added some seating up to the courtyard, which is something that me and Mr. A7 Coasters have been ranting about for the last 2 years. And they've actually listened to us, it seems, but there's not really anything that goes on up here at all. And I personally think that with the stage moving off of the lawns and into Mutiny Bay, they should have probably moved the stage up to here, since it's a bigger location and you could just fit so much more out here. Like, I feel like where it is in the courtyard of Mutiny Bay, it's just very crammed in, and when we were there on the opening weekend, we physically couldn't move through. There is not enough space to get to the bar, to get to the food stalls. It just feels like an awful lot in one place all at once, and it's a bit hard to move around and sort of breathe. Another thing that I just wanted to quickly cover while I'm on the negatives at the moment is just the experience inside of the scare mazes. Now, I know I briefly touched on this already, but some of the scare mazes just aren't as intense and as good as what they have been previously. Now, I know that every experience that you get is completely different, and that's kind of the point of a scare maze, but I feel like when you're paying a set price for just one run through, it should be the same experience for every customer, and I just don't feel like you get that experience or that intensity and scares that you usually get from a normal scare event. Now, I know that Alton Towers is completely catered towards a family sort of audience, but I mean, Compound is fairly intense, but I just feel it lacks that extra oomph. Another issue with the scare mazes, is just the batching in general. Now, I think the batching is just insane and absurd. Sometimes you can get groups of up to 12 to sort of 16 people, and whilst it doesn't feel like a lot, once you all get crammed into a little corridor, it then feels like a lot, and a lot of the scares, if you're in the middle of the group, will happen towards the front or the back of the group. So there again, you get an inconsistent experience. So another 2 family attractions that you can pay for a ticket for, just costing you £10 or £8 for a pass holder, is Amigos of the Afterlife and Haribo Trick or Treat Chat. Haribo Trick or Treat Town. Now, I've never actually done these attractions myself. I will give them a try one day. However, the facade from the outside does look really cool for both of the attractions. I think that the overall vibe of Scarefest is quite positive, and it feels good when you're in the park at night with all the different lighting and the props around the park, but it just feels not very scary. Right, and since I am here with Mr. A7 Coasters himself, right, he has something very important to add to this video, I think. Hit him with it.
I think it's a really missed opportunity to have kind of advertisement, just kind of roaming around the park for the 2 new scare experiences. Obviously both of them being themed to kind of the dark forest, just the kind of lack of advertisement around the park. I mean, there's no signs or anything for it, like on the digital screens or anything, like there was for Toxicator or Nemesis. And before the scare zone opens for Dark Hollow, I think they could actually really benefit from having the actors from that scare zone walk around kind of the dark forest area.
So something that we have experienced in Extreme and Doncaster is that before the mazes open, the actors roam around the park, right? And you'll see the actors roaming around the park throughout the night as well. And then they'll go into the mazes once the mazes are open. And I think that's really cool because it kind of builds up, doesn't it?
It's not unheard of for Merlin to do that because they do it over at Thorpe Park with the crows, and the crows are walking meadow.
Exactly.
So why don't Towers do it here for their brand new experience?
Yeah. And
we can only hope to see that during the half term.
Fingers crossed they spend a bit more money when it gets a bit busier. But alongside that, onto the Roman actors again, is last year we had phalanx operatives throughout the whole of Forbidden Valley. This year we have nothing. And it just feels a little bit lackluster, which is what I meant about the scary vibe of the park just not being there. There's cool lighting, there's cool set pieces, props and everything all around the park with eerie music, it's great. But then there's no actors or nothing around, like there's no smoke, mist, fog, there's just nothing interesting around the park. Another thing that I just wanted to cover with the stage and the show sort of being moved down into Mutiny Bay now is purely the fact that previously, when the shows were on the lawn, there was a lot more shows and there was less time to wait between shows, right, than what there is currently. And it just feels like they're kind of cheaping out a little bit with not spending the extra on a couple more shows. Could we see that change when it's a bit busier? Who knows, maybe. Another thing with the shows that they have got to offer is that they just feel a lot more family orientated, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because Alton Towers is a family park and the majority of people that will sit down and watch the shows are a family. But previously on last year's Scarefest and the years before that, myself and Adam have both really enjoyed some of the the bigger shows, and I believe that one of them was called Sinbin, I think you mentioned, right? And that was really, really good, and we enjoyed it. And there was a show last year that was quite well done on the stage and everything, and we sat there and we really enjoyed it. Whereas this year, I haven't really watched many of the shows, / really enjoyed many of the shows. So that leaves you with the question, kind of unanswered, as I've just thrown positives and negatives at you all over the place. Is Scarefest in 2025 really worth visiting? Yes, I think it is still worth a visit. Would you say so as well?
Yeah.
And I think it's a great little event that they do. I just think that perhaps the pricing is a little bit off, and the lack of entertainment, including roaming actors around the park, isn't the best that it has been before.
The thing with these kind of events, like any kind of Halloween event, it is kind of a gamble. You don't know, no experience is going to be the same, because it kind of just depends on the day. Depends on the actors, how they feel.
But when you're charging sort of £16 for a new scare maze, and your experience is cut down to 5 minutes, and it's completely different to your other mate's experience who done it last weekend, it was great. That's not the best thing, is it?
By no means am I defending Towers for the price, because the prices are extortionate.
Something that I think would be a great idea is if you pay for a maze and you pay £16, it's not a one shot, but you can do it a couple of times perhaps instead. I think that could be great, because you're paying for the actor at the end of the day. It doesn't really add anything to the capacity. Most of the time that we've been here, the queues have been pretty short for Scarefest, haven't they, on opening weekend? Everything was walking.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I'm a little bit worried.
£16 for one run through of a maze, I think that's ridiculous.
Considering you can spend an extra 10 quid and go to Extreme Scare Park, pretty much, couldn't you? Or Doncaster, or many of the other ones that we will experience this October. So, thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to like and subscribe. But if you think we've missed anything, or you disagree with anything that we've said, make sure to comment down below and give some reasoning, right? Otherwise, I'm just going to remove your comment, right? Thank you very much to A7 Coasters for helping me out with this video. Make sure to go check out his channel. It'll be linked in the description below. You got anything to add to that?
Not really, to be honest. Just give Scarefest a go. It is good. It is a good event. It's a fun event.
And all the negatives that we've got, they come with positives as well, so it's constructive, right? Okay, we're not just destroying the park. I think that it's a great event. I do think you should visit. It's just that I wanted my opinions to be heard. Yeah.
Lizard, 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 lizard. Lizard.